Hello everyone, it's Dav again. So this is part 2 in my little mini series about what I use to make my YouTube videos, and it is just very basics. I don't have anything fancy, and this is just what I think is needed to get started. And so in this video I will talk about my laptop that I'm using and what I think is necessary, what I've read. I've done a lot of research and everything, and so from what I understand, these things are pretty much necessary to get by with good video editing. And so what I have here, and what I've been working with for 5 years, is this Acer. I bought this thing 5 years ago, and it only has the 1080 graphics, but I'm okay with that. And the processor is the Intel i5. I'm not sure if that will focus or not. And I did not know this until today, but this particular processor only has 2 cores, which is pretty much the minimum for video editing. It would be better with 4 cores, also called quad core, but it makes up for it right here with the 2.3 gigahertz. The speed kind of helps the fact that there's only 2 cores in this processor. So from what I understand, 4 cores is better or more. And this, because I'm pretty hard on my equipment, this is 5 years old and it rarely ever gets turned off. It gets turned off just once in a blue moon. It gets, updated regularly, and I do the restarting. But because I treat my laptops like this, it's on its last leg. So I've got 5 years out of this, which isn't too bad, I guess, for a laptop. This was $550 5 years ago, and if you were to look for the equivalent of it today, it would be $650. So instead of the normal pricing for electronics, how it keeps going down every year because of the the C word, everything's gone up. And so this is actually even more now than it should be. It should be probably right around $500 or even $450, by the standards that we were going by before the the virus and everything. And so this actually has an 8 gig of RAM, and that, again, that is pretty much the bare minimum for RAM. You want to have 8 gig of RAM, and it would be nice to have 4 cores on your processor. And for the hard drive, this one is a 256 gig SSD, which is really good, but I've had many laptops just fail on me suddenly, and all the information that was on the hard drive was just lost to me. And so I learned a long time ago to not depend on any brand, because I've gone through several different brands and everything. I just don't depend on the hard drive of any brand of laptop. And so what I do is, as often as possible, I back up the information, whether it's videos that I've made or transferred from my phone or my camera, or anything that I've done, files that I've created and all that. I back it up really regularly to this external hard drive. This is a Toshiba, and it's a 2 terabyte, and this thing is actually almost full, so I've got to get another bigger external hard drive. But this right here is also a 2 terabyte hard drive, and that is my backup for that one, because I've had the external hard drives fail on me too. So it's a really good idea to have an external drive to back up this, and then another external to back up your first external. So just because these things are kind of fragile and everything, it's a really good idea to have a backup to your main computer. And so this thing keeps freaking out on me, and I'm afraid to restart it. I'm afraid to update it, because every time that I do it, it acts weirder and weirder, and I've had this one last time, it actually just totally died on me, and it had to do a whole lot of recovery and a lot of prayer on my part, but it finally did come up. But that was my last warning, because this thing has actually crashed a few times, and it's really scary when like everything you do on a daily basis is on here. You know, it's not very fun. And so I've known for months now that I've needed to replace this, but unfortunately I didn't have the, you know, the money to replace these exact specs. And so what I did is I found a rather generic computer. It's called Jumper, and I will put links to everything that I can think of. I'll put links down into the description box so you guys can find this stuff. But one of the other things, another reason why it's okay that this is dying, is because this is a 15-inch monitor, and I want to, when I'm on the road, I want to get one of those the table top surfaces that you can kind of attach to your steering wheel. I wanted to have something like that so that I can sit in the driver's seat and work on my computer and everything. And those tables are actually not big enough for this 15-inch laptop. So I went ahead and looked for a smaller one, and I don't know if you can tell, but this is a 13-inch laptop, and so it will fit much better on the on that steering wheel desk. And I'm gonna lose like the number pad over here. I'm not gonna have that. This is just the regular keyboard basically from here over. But again, that really doesn't matter too much to me because I use an external keyboard. I'm not sure if I'm gonna use it too much when I'm on the road. I don't know, I'm so used to it that I probably will go ahead and use it. And then I use an external mouse right there because I don't like to use the touchpad on that. And so I found this replacement that this has 3 USB outlets, and this one only has 2, which is unfortunate. There's one there and there's one on the other side, but right there I can still plug in my speakers. And right there is the little mini micro SD card reader. And so on this computer I had the regular SD card reader, and so you just pop that in right there, and yeah, you can hear it. It automatically recognizes it. But on this computer I've just got the little one, so I've got to use the little micro SD cards in it. And if for some reason I don't have one of those, I'll have to get an adapter to be able to read the right card that I'm using. If I have a big card, I'm gonna have to get an adapter, and I could show you here. And right here you can see, hopefully it'll focus, it just now brought up that card, and if you double click on that, it's empty because I don't have anything on there. But this right here, this is a card reader, and so if you have a USB, regular USB, or a USB-C right there, you can still plug that into your computer and you can read the little baby micro cards, or you can read the big SD cards, and it's only $9, so that's not that big of a deal. So I'll still be able to read my bigger cards with this computer. And this is $300 computer, I think, compared to $650, and basically it will run and operate the same way as this one. This was not a strong enough computer to use even just the regular free software editing, video editing software, and so I am relegated to using the Microsoft Movie Maker, whatever it's called, that's standard with your computer. It comes with Windows 10. This has Windows 10 on it, and so I just have to use the Movie Maker for my editing, which is really, really amateurish, but because I don't have a better computer, there's nothing I can do about it. I always have a lot of different applications going. I usually have 2 or 3 browsers going at any different time, so I really need, you know, the basic setup, which is, you know, the 8 meg of RAM, and they suggest to have a quad core, so this has a quad core in it, but the speed on it, instead of being the 2.3 gigahertz, the speed on the new one is only like 1.1 or 1.2. So the fact that it has a quad core may be kind of balanced or negated by the fact that it's a slower speed. So in other words, I think this computer is going to operate and behave pretty much almost exactly like this one, because it's just going to balance out there at the end. And this does have just half of the hard drive. It's 128, and it's not a SSD, but it's the next step down. It's the eMMC hard drive, which is better than HDD, but it's not quite as good as the SDD. But I don't care really about the size of that, because again, I don't trust any hard drive on any laptop, and so I go ahead and I'll just be transferring it to there. And this one is actually full. I don't know if I mentioned that or not, but this one is full, and so I'm gonna have to get like a 4 or a 5 terabyte. Both of these are 2 terabyte, and so what I'll have to do is I'll put all my video on one of these 2 terabyte, and then I'll put everything else, like my music and all my files, over on this other hard drive, and then those will be my backups to the main hard drive that I'll have connected to this, which will be again like a 4 or a 5 terabyte, and hopefully that will be good enough. Oh, and I was able to find a DC adapter for my Acer, and almost all these bigger computers you can use this adapter, and there's like dozens of different tips in there to use with all these different computers. But unfortunately I can't use this with this computer because the I don't know if it'll focus here or not. The output, do you see that? That is 15 to 20 volts for the output, and the charger for this little jumper cable, excuse me while I get off screen, that is actually only 12 volts. And so if I were to plug this into here, it would fry my computer. So I cannot use this on it, unfortunately, because this does save energy rather than to have to use the AC, because I'm going to be running my computer off of my little power stations, and I can just use the regular DC and save the inverter use, but now I'm not going to be able to because that's not compatible with this one. And I'm not quite sure, this isn't totally dead yet, you know, I'm still holding on to it and using it as much as I can, so maybe for right now I will just do my video editing on this one and save this for other work or whatever, I don't know. But for right now I do have 2 laptops, but that may change soon if this one starts to get funky again. So I think that was it to show you for the equipment. This has a USB-C that I've never used, and it is right there, and a lot of them will have the HDMI or just the regular VGA ports that you can plug a monitor into, and so that's pretty cool. But because I'm a USB hog, I actually had to buy a hub. This is a USB hub, so it goes from 1 port and turns it into 3 ports. And so I've got, this is one of those dongles, and that dongle right there goes to my mouse, and then that port is my speakers here. And so I like to have external speakers to the laptop because the laptop speakers are kind of a little bit wimpy. But if I can't have all that, that's alright. I'll just use the built-in keyboard and the built-in mouse and just be done with it, because this only has 2 USB ports and no USB-C. So I am definitely sacrificing on this, but it's half the price of that. So, you know, take your pick, I guess. But it seems to be a nice little thing. I haven't even set it up yet. I just got it in. But it seems pretty sturdy and all. And it's got the camera right there, just like all laptops have a camera right there. So that is it. That is the computer that I use for my video editing. And when I'm done editing, I upload straight up to YouTube right from here. And then whatever files that I have on here, I back them up onto my externals as soon as I can. Alright, so in the next video I will go ahead and show you how I transfer files from my phone and this camera onto here, and I'll show you kind of how I organize them and everything. So I will talk to you then. Bye.